Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Cheech, alongside my main man, Kern. What up, Kern?
What's happening, Cheech? What's going on?
Nothing much. I'm here. We're ready to go. Episode 6 from the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. You guys can find us here on our official YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/Cheech and Kern. And I must make a correction because we got a couple emails here talking about, for some reason, I mentioned last time Podcast One. I don't know why the fuck I mentioned Podcast One. We have no affiliation with Podcast One. So I just wanted to make that clear. We're here officially on youtube.com. Cheech and Kern. All right, so this is our official YouTube channel. We can drop here every Saturday night, so you guys can check us out here. And so yeah, we're here, episode 6. I can barely hear you. You gotta raise your voice.
I said we're not on Podcast One no more.
No, we've never been on Podcast One. I have no idea why the fuck I mentioned Podcast One last time. I guess I confused it with Stitcher because we are on Stitcher. You guys can stream us on Stitcher. But for some reason I mentioned Podcast One, but we have no affiliation with Podcast One, so I just wanted to get that out there. So, yep, here we are, episode 6, ladies and gentlemen, and we're here to talk about ECW Barely Legal 1997, the very first pay-per-view from ECW. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the current events. You watch wrestling this week?
No, I haven't, to be honest with you.
Okay. Well, I watched a little bit about Monday Night Raw. It was okay. It was a so-so show. It was the go-home edition for this week's Extreme Rules, which takes place tomorrow on WWE Network. And of course, the main event for that pay-per-view is Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship in a cage match, and the RKO has been banned.
You know what? The one thing that kills me is like Seth Rollins just won the championship. You know he's not losing it anytime soon. So it kills me when they put this Randy Orton in the steel cage with the RKO band, and Randy Orton's going to sit there and try. Everybody knows he's going to lose the match. Everybody knows he's not walking away with the championship.
I think what they're trying to do, I think they're going to try to set up. They've been teasing Kane kind of turning face. I think this is a whole swerve. I think what they're going to do is because they have since you didn't watch it last Monday night, they have Kane. He's the official gatekeeper or keeper of the gate, something like that, as Triple H said. So, or guardian of the gate. I'm not even sure what the hell he said, but that's the gimmick Kane's gonna have for this pay-per-view. And what I think it is, they're kind of teasing that Kane's gonna turn on Seth Rollins, but I think he's gonna turn on Randy Orton. So Randy Orton's gonna kind of spin off against Kane, and Kane will probably put his mask on or something. So that's what I think they're going.
Oh, that'll be a good one. We'll tune in and see how it turns out. I don't know. I've never really liked Kane to be as a good guy. I mean, he fits as a heel.
He's always been a great heel, but I mean, people are just—he's not a good guy. But people want him to turn. He was cause this whole corporate Kane.
But turning him, and then if it doesn't work, then what are you gonna do? Then he's out.
Well, I mean, Kane's been turned like 12 times in the last 2 years. He's been on and off. They keep turning him. He puts the mask on. He takes the mask off. He goes corporate Kane, and the director of operations Kane. So I think they're kind of teasing that, but I think he's gonna stay a heel, but he's gonna fight Randy Orton on these next couple of months. That's what I think they're gonna do, and then you'll get Roman Reigns transition into the feud with Seth Rollins after he's done with the Big Show.
See, I don't think that. I don't think Roman Reigns will win that WWE Championship anytime soon. I don't see it happening no time soon.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you have him fighting for the title too many times and losing, you're really not going to help too much Roman Reigns. So you kind of figure like, okay, well, where do you go from here? Do you have him win and finally beat Seth Rollins, become the champ? Because I think Seth Rollins is doing a great job as a WWE champ right now. I'm entertained. I'm entertained watching him on TV. So I mean, it's I don't think they should take the belt off him yet.
No, I don't think so either. I think he's the like he used to say, the future of wrestling. But I think he's great. I think it's great being the champion. It's a new face. It's somebody fresh that you haven't seen. It's not Randy Orton, and it's not John Cena. It's somebody new who hasn't had the belt. And I think this is going to be great. I mean, Seth Rollins, 5 years from now, shit, who knows? He could be, the next John Cena.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think Seth Rollins, his biggest run is going to be when he turns babyface. Because right now he's a heel, but I think he still hasn't found his niche. You know, he still hasn't found who he really wants to be. And I think he's going to be huge when he becomes a babyface. So when he makes that turn, that's when I think that's when Seth Rollins really going to break through the roof.
I don't know, but you got to remember, you know, this is his first time winning the championship. This guy probably win it, you know, 10 or 15 times by the time his career is over.
Yeah, the way the titles are jumping over, they're kind of having like hot potato these days. Of course, yeah, he'll probably win about 10 or 15 times that title before his career is over.
Yeah, think about it. When Ric Flair retired, he was, according to the WWE, a 16-time world champion.
Yep.
There was nobody even close. You know, now everybody's a 15 or 14-time
John Cena. He's a 15-time champion. The next time he wins, he's going to tie Ric Flair's record.
See, but that kills me because Ric Flair's been fighting since '72. Won his first championship in '81. Won his last championship like in 2000. I mean, that was like almost 30 years of him fighting. And then John Cena's been around for what? 10, 12 years?
10 years? Yeah, about a good 10 years or so.
And
yeah, it's like...
it makes it seem like the belt don't really mean much because if it keeps passing hand by hand, like, well, I don't know. I don't like when everybody out there has had the world heavyweight champion 15 times. They can't be 15 Michael Jordans out there.
Exactly. No, I totally agree. And it's if you think about it, Jack Swagger was a world heavyweight champion at one time.
There's a lot of people that won the title should have never won the title.
Fucking Miz. Miz was the champ.
My opinion, Eddie Guerrero didn't deserve the world title at that time. I didn't think he was the world champion material. Rey Mysterio Jr., another guy I didn't think was world championship material. Jack Swagger ain't world championship material. I hate to say this, but I don't think Christian was world heavyweight championship material. Edge, at first I thought he wasn't, but then I seen him when he came out as a heel and how he just transformed into some bad motherfucker, you know? Mm-hmm. So him, I'll agree. He was all right there. But there's a lot of people out there that have had world titles for so many times that, in my opinion, should have never had a world title. The world title is that's prestigious. That's like the biggest mountain you can climb. That means you made it. You're at the top. And half those people should have never been there.
What about Chris Benoit? Do you think he was championship material?
I think Chris Benoit was championship material in WCW. I mean, I thought he was championship material from a long time ago. I believe he should be in the Hall of Fame, too.
You think so?
What you do outside of wrestling should not have to worry about what you accomplished in wrestling.
Okay. I don't know. I got mixed emotions about Chris Benoit being in the Hall of Fame, you know, because he did have a great career. He was a great performer, but I don't know. I think about what he did, you know, outside the ring, and I don't know. It's like no way you can separate both of those things.
That makes no sense. It's like saying, let's say Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had a great career. Won 6 NBA championships, 5 MVPs, the whole 9 yards. And let's say before he went to the Hall of Fame, he ended up killing somebody outside of basketball. Does that mean he don't deserve to be in the NBA Hall of Fame? One has nothing to do with the other. That's just my opinion. One has nothing to do with the other. Because the Hall of Fame is for what you have accomplished in wrestling, not what you accomplished in life. Not what you accomplished, you know, in your education or what you accomplished anywhere. It's what you accomplished in wrestling. That's it, plain and simple. But like I said, that's just my opinion. I'm sure people are going to disagree with me. If anybody disagrees, they can send us an email at cheechandkern@gmail.com and let me know your thoughts about it.
Yep. cheechandkern@gmail.com. You can send us your emails, questions, and comments there. Well, yeah, championship material, when we go back to think about it, you know, there have been a lot of guys who don't deserve, like I mentioned before, The Miz. I mean, The Miz, he headlined the WrestleMania 27. There is no way The Miz should have ever headlined a WrestleMania, and let alone be WWE champ.
I've never seen WrestleMania 27.
You've never seen WrestleMania 27? That's the WrestleMania The Rock came back and he was the host, and the main event was John Cena versus Miz for the World Heavyweight Champ, and Miz was the defending champion on that pay-per-view.
John Cena walked out as the champ?
No, The Miz walked out as the champ.
He defeated John Cena.
He defeated John Cena.
With the 1, 2, 3.
With the 1, 2, 3. Of course, after The Rock hit him with the rock bottom. That's what started the whole build-up for WrestleMania 28 between Rock and John Cena at Miami, Florida.
I seen that one. I seen 28. I seen 28, seen 29, and 30, and now 31. Or they don't have numbers
Yep.
It's WrestleMania 2015.
So we saw WrestleMania play button this year because we had a little play button as the logo for this year.
I think that's okay because they said that the reason they stopped putting numbers because it makes it look antique-ish. And I heard also that they told the announcers to stop calling it the granddaddy of them all because it made it seem old.
It makes no sense whatsoever because I mean, when you think about the great traditions in everything in sports and you think about the Super Bowl. I mean, it is kind of getting weird when you think about it because Super Bowl is like already Super Bowl, I don't know, 40 something or something like that, and it gets to a point where the Roman numerals is just it gets hard to follow.
Roman numerals. I mean, look at the UFC. There's UFC 185, 188, 189. I mean, it just still keeps going.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I think it's tradition. Why are you trying to take tradition away from wrestling? And another thing that I'm starting to not like about Vince McMahon is that he don't call his wrestlers wrestlers. They're sports entertainment superstars. Get the fuck out of here. You're a wrestler.
Yeah.
If you quit that job and you're going to look for another job, what do you say you do for a living? I'm a sports entertainer? No, I'm a fucking professional wrestler. That's what I do.
Yeah. And it's like, for some reason, they're ashamed of wrestling. I don't know why. And when you think about it, what's their core business? Their core business is wrestling. Like, oh, yeah, we tell stories. Oh, yeah, we entertain. Yeah, you entertain in the ring. You entertain wrestling. That's what you do. That's what people go there to watch. They go there to watch wrestling. And everything else is just an add-on, so to speak. You know, storylines, everything. It's just an add-on. But people go there to see wrestling.
We're not wrestlers. We're sports entertainers. You're a wrestler.
Yeah, so are you going to be catching the pay-per-view this weekend, Extreme Rules?
Yes, I will.
One of the other interesting facts here is Daniel Bryan. There's we really don't know, at least as of this moment, as of this recording, I haven't heard anything if he's going to participate or not on the pay-per-view.
I don't think. I think he's out. He was. Man, I just read about this where he got taken out of some taping or some tour he was at somewhere.
Yeah, the European tour. He got pulled.
And they sent him back home because they said he was done. He got hurt or something at a taping, and then at the tour he just couldn't take it no more. So I'm pretty confident he's not going to be there.
Well, they were saying on last Monday night the match was still on, but it was well, I guess they didn't say it was still on, but they said the match was kind of up in the air, but they hadn't said officially that he wasn't wrestling. So I guess they were just kind of waiting. But today's, as of now, I haven't heard anything if it's on or off. So we'll just have to wait and see this Sunday night on the pay-per-view. There are a couple of other interesting matches here on this pay-per-view. Of course, they have the U.S. title, John Cena versus Rusev in a Russian chain match. That's going to be an interesting match. I think out of the whole pay-per-view, that's kind of what got me more intrigued, is that John Cena versus Rusev match. It seems like it's the feud, the hottest feud they have right now. You know, this whole Randy Orton, Seth Rollins thing kind of turned cold to me when he came back. You know, he came back and he started acting like he was Seth Rollins' friend and everything. So that kind of got that angle cold. So I think the hottest feud they got right now is John Cena versus Rusev. So I'm looking forward to that Russian chain match.
I agree. I like that match. It's something. I think that's going to be the best match of the pay-per-view. First of all, when was the last time you ever seen a Russian chain match? Back in the NWA, you know, it's been a while.
Yep. Because most of the recent matches were all like with ropes. They weren't really chains. You know, they were like bull rope match, Texas bull rope match, or whatever. But they were ropes.
They had dog collar matches, and I mean all type of different matches. But it's going to be something interesting to see. It's something. It's a new concept that we haven't seen in a while, so it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I want to see how they're gonna pull it off because I mean, one of the interesting facts is how do you pull off a Russian chain match and everything that conveys without having any blood. You know, are they going to bust open the hard way? Are they gonna, you know? Because I mean, that's a match that I think blood should be involved because you're beating a guy with a chain, for Christ's sakes. I mean, the guy's gonna have to bleed at some point.
Well, yeah. Well, what are the rules for this one? Did they put new rules? Because every different company got different rules. Some of them it means you have to touch all 4 turnbuckles and you win the match that way.
Yeah, at some point it's I guess we'll have to wait and see. But for right now, as I think it is, it's they're going to be linked together by the fist, and it's a 4 corners match. Basically, you got to touch the 4 corners to win the match.
Okay, so
nobody has to get pinned. Yeah.
Okay, right.
But when you think about these traditional chain matches, it used to be they would put it around your neck, you know, kind of like the dog collar match,
Right.
and you would just beat the guy up. He wouldn't be able to get away, and it was a pinfall. It was a pinfall match.
Yeah.
So, but I guess this stipulation, they're going to do the 4 corners so that I guess either Rusev doesn't get pinned or John Cena doesn't get pinned, you know, one of those guys.
And they can keep the feud going.
Yep. So, yeah, there's another couple matches there. The Diva matches, Nikki Bella versus Naomi for the Divas title. I know the kickoff show, it's going to be Cesaro and Tyson Kidd versus the New Day, which they suck.
See, I would change that. I would put, because it's for the tag team title. That should be in the pay-per-view. And this Divas matches, I'm just getting so sick and tired of seeing these Divas. They're all the same. They're all the same ones. I mean, they don't develop new Divas. What happened to Ric Flair's daughter? Why ain't she in there? Whatever happened to the other chick with the frailing arms?
Emma.
Whatever happened to her?
Yeah, they're in NXT right now, actually. They're kicking ass in NXT. You got Emma in NXT. She's back in NXT. You got Charlotte, which is Ric Flair's daughter in NXT. You got Sasha Banks.
Huh? Why are they not at Raw yet?
I guess, you know what? I'd rather see them in NXT. I'm a huge NXT fan, as I said before. I'd rather see them in NXT because NXT is like the ROH version of WWE. You know, it's like for that hardcore wrestling fan. It's kind of designed for that indie wrestling fan. And, you know, I'd rather them stay there instead of just bringing them up. What do you think about this Neville guy that came up? Adrian Neville.
Don't like him.
You don't like him. Well, in NXT, Neville was the shit. You know, he was the NXT champ until he lost to Sami Zayn at the TakeOver pay-per-view in December, I think it was. And, you know, Neville's the man. But for some reason, they just bring him up and they have him do matches. They haven't said anything about his background. They haven't said anything. They come down. Sheamus comes down and kicks his ass and he gets out of the ring. So, I don't know.
They shouldn't have to tell you his I mean, you know his background. Nexus is WWE. Everybody knows that. I mean, it's like the minor leagues and the professional leagues.
Yeah, but nobody watches. I mean, when was the last time you watched NXT?
It's been a while. When Kevin Owens won the title.
That was at the TakeOver in February. Before that, when was the last time you watched NXT?
When Kevin Owens made his debut.
Okay.
And
so that was like 2 weeks before that.
And before that, the first day I got the WWE Network, which was the first day it became available.
Okay, so that was February last year. So you don't consistently watch NXT.
I've seen NXT. I was interested because I kept hearing about it, so I was interested in watching it. Mm-hmm. But then when I looked at the show, it didn't really call my attention.
Well, NXT is it's a real good show, but not everybody watches the show, so not everybody's gonna be familiar. It's like when Emma came out. When Emma in NXT is over huge. You know, she does the little dance, the bubbles, and everything. But she came out in Raw, and they didn't explain why she does the bubbles, why she does the crazy dance. So nobody really gave a fuck.
But they actually started doing the stupid crazy dance with her. Because I remember watching Raw where they started doing that arm wiggly, inflatable man, whatever.
It's like Adam Rose. You know, Adam Rose, he came down with his whole crew, and everybody started dancing and jumping and doing that little crazy thing. And now he has I think he comes down to the ring by himself. I don't even see people come down to the ring when he comes down. And whenever he's on Raw, because you barely see him anymore.
They did the same thing with Fandango and Daniel Bryan. I mean, they just try to get crowd reaction, so they make their wrestlers do something stupid that the fans will want to, you know, also do.
Yep. So it's like I rather them keep Charlotte down in NXT until they're ready to bring her up and have something solid for her, then to just bring her up and leave her as a normal diva, diva.
Because if you think about it, when you watch, and I don't know now, but if you watch TNA from 2010 and 11 in that area, they had the best diva matches. And it wasn't the same match over and over and over and over and over. They were having some episodes, they would have 2 different, you know, knockouts matches. The WWE, they keep forcing the same people in your face. Like, if you got more talent, bring them up. What are you waiting for? Bring some new matches for these, because these diva matches are boring.
Yeah,
I mean, they're boring.
Yeah, but these NXT matches for the women's title they're awesome matches. And another thing, like for example,
roster. That's what they should be bringing up. Those exciting matches that NXT's got, those should be the exciting matches we should be watching in Raw when it comes to the Diva.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, for example, I got a good idea I don't know if they ever do this or not, but I have a good idea. So when they bring up Charlotte, I mean, it would be so awesome if Charlotte comes in, she kicks Nikki Bella's ass, she takes the Divas title, and she throws it into the garbage can, and she says, "I'm not a Divas champ, I'm a women's champ," and she takes out the women's title. That's what I would like to do, because this whole diva bullshit with the butterflies and all this crap, that needs to go.
Well, I don't think it's going to go anywhere, because that's like what they call their women division, divas.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the diva title's there to stay. I prefer the women's title too.
Yeah. So then after that, I don't even know what other show. Oh yeah, they got Roman Reigns versus Big Show, in a last man standing match. I think Big Show every year at Extreme Rules, he's in some type of last man standing match, stretcher match, stairs match. Big Show has been giving some shitty gimmick matches as of late, and this is no exception. He's gonna fight Roman Reigns, last man standing, and of course, at least what I'm expecting is for Roman Reigns to beat him in the last man standing match and just continue on and get this feud over.
Superman knock him out and he'd be out for the count of 10. I mean, it's a Big Show. Since day one that he came into wrestling, they started off wrong with him. He should have came out like a giant. He should have came out like like Andre the Giant. You go out there, you kick some ass, you take names, and you fucking leave. No sitting there. I mean, he's getting DDT'd and suplexed, and have you ever seen Andre in any match? Have you ever seen Andre the Giant get suplexed?
The only time I ever seen Andre the Giant get off his feet was when Hogan body slammed him in WrestleMania 3. That's the only time I ever seen him get off his feet.
Pretty much, because Andre the Giant, he'd usually go in there and just dominate. That should have been the same way with the Big Show. The Big Show should have been like a big, huge, like the Undertaker is now, like the big, something famous behind the scenes that everybody always wants to, they're going to pay their money to see. Mm-hmm. But he came out, he's a bum. I mean, he hasn't been, he's had a couple world titles, but nothing special for somebody that's 7 feet tall and 400 pounds or whatever, 500 pounds, whatever he claims he says he is. I mean, he should have been a main attraction for years and years and years.
Yep, and the thing is, I don't think they booked Big Show well off right from the very beginning, because if you remember, the way he made his debut in WWF was in that same Valentine's Day Massacre, which was Steve Austin versus McMahon in a cage match, and he came in from underneath the cage. And he threw Austin into the cage and caused the cage to open, and Austin just got out and he won. So they made him look like an idiot from day one.
You know what? I remember watching that live. I remember watching that pay-per-view live. And when he came out, I was so pissed. I shut the TV off right then and there. I didn't want to watch nothing else. I shut the TV off. I was pissed.
Why?
Because I was mad. Because WCW was losing their fucking guys to the WWE at the time. I was getting pissed. Jericho was gone, and the Big Show took off. And then the way they showed him, Big Show, when he was in the WCW, he was a giant. He went in there, he was a champion, he kicked your ass. There was nobody suplexing him, or nobody body slamming him, or none of that bullshit. He went in there, he kicked ass, and he was a champion. Now, after he lost the title, all of a sudden he became a bum. Because now Macho Man's kicking his ass and rolling him up and beating him with big elbows. Come on, man. It shouldn't be like that. But when he came to the WWF at that pay-per-view, I remember getting pissed off because I was a huge WCW fan. And when I kept seeing the WCW guys leaving to the, because it wasn't like they had internet back then where you could just get all the gossip and Twitter or whatever. You could get all the, knowing what's going to happen. His contract was up. He's signing with WWE. You don't know that shit back then. So it literally pissed me off. I remember shutting it off right there. And I didn't know what else happened until the next day at Raw.
But, I mean, if you think about it, WCW, they stole, of course. They didn't steal. But, I mean, Scott Hall and Kevin Nash jumped ship. Lex Luger jumped ship. There were a couple of guys that jumped ship. So Vince McMahon just, he took younger guys. He got the Big Show when he was young. He got Chris Jericho while he was still young. And all the guys that he ended up getting from WCW really helped put WWF on the map.
I agree. And, that's why I get mad when I see Kevin Steen or Kevin Owens in Nexus. And now Samoa Joe, that's supposed to be making his debut in Nexus sometime this year. These are established stars. I mean, established stars. Just like the Chris Jericho was, just like the Giant was. I mean, they're on TV. People know who they are. They got a huge following. and then you put them in the minor leagues. I don't get why they do that.
I guess they gotta kind of do like a cyclical version, because for now, you know, you're gonna have Kenta or Hideo Itami. He's gonna go up to the main roster pretty soon. You got Finn Balor, which is Prince Devitt. He's gonna go up to the main event pretty soon, main roster pretty soon. Neville, they already brought him up. Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Generico. You know, these guys, they're gonna go up to the main roster pretty soon, and then you're gonna need the next breed of guys in NXT to keep that brand going. So I can see why they bring Samoa Joe.
Samoa Joe at 37 years old. I mean, what does he got left?
I don't think he's gonna be there too long. He'll probably be there like maybe 1 or 2 months and be out of there.
I don't think that it worked back in '99 and 2000. You know, when people. I mean, you need new guys that you don't see, like Goldberg. Goldberg came out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. Goldberg came out of nowhere and did his shit and exploded. Now, if you had Goldberg in WWE Nexus for like 6 or 8 months, and then you bring him up, people they're not going to have that surprise impact of somebody new coming in to kick ass. I think Samoa Joe will be great coming into the main roster right now.
I think so. No, I think so also. You know, I get what you're saying, and I totally agree. I get what you're saying. But I don't know. I guess that's just the way it works now. You know, you got to go through NXT to be able to go up. You know, because I mean, Prince Devitt, the NXT, he's Finn Balor now. You know, he was an established star in New Japan. You know, and he's been in NXT for what, I don't know, good 3-4 months now.
Right, but why didn't they put Sting at NXT?
Oh, I mean, of course you're not gonna put. You know, he's.
But it's the same thing.
I get it. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
All right, so do you want to start talking about ECW Barely Legal?
Yeah, I mean, wow, the first 20 minutes or so of this show went on the current events. But yeah, so that's Extreme Rules this Sunday night. Hope you guys check it out. Hope you enjoy it, and you know, it'll be nice if you guys send your thoughts at cheechandkern@gmail.com and let us know what you thought about Extreme Rules when it's over with. So, yep. This week's episode, we're going to talk about ECW Barely Legal 1997. This was the first pay-per-view ECW held. And it was kind of interesting because this event was, it almost didn't happen. You know, they went through so much trouble trying to get this pay-per-view on the air that I remember it went up at 9 p.m. Instead of 7, the traditional hour. And they were having a lot of issues trying to get this pay-per-view on the air. But it finally went on the air on April 13th, 1997. And of course, it was in the ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Now, it was interesting because that ECW Arena looked very small, but I looked up the attendance record for that day. And it said it was 1,170 people at the ECW Arena. And I mean, that was filled to the gills. And there was standing room only in that venue that day.
Yeah, well, 1,100 people there. I mean, that was a nice crowd for them.
Yep. And I looked up the pay-per-view buys for this event, and it did 104,000 pay-per-view buys. I think that was a good buy rate for 1997, your first pay-per-view ever. 104,000. I mean, that was a good. You know, you could say nothing, but it was a great success for the very first pay-per-view.
You know, Paul Heyman got his money there. Wow, yep. 104,000.
104,000. I mean, to think about it.
TNA don't even get those.
no, TNA doesn't even get anywhere close to that. But if you think about it, the first the pay-per-view that went up in January 4th this year, which was Global Force Wrestling with New Japan, I think it was. That pay-per-view did somewhere, I was reading, it did somewhere between 10 and 20,000, maybe 14,000 or something like that. So I mean, think about it. From 14,000, you're going all the way up to 104,000 in your pay-per-view, your first pay-per-view. So I mean, this was a great success. So we're welcomed in, of course, by our commentator, which is Joey Styles. He welcomes us in. He's in the ring. But he's quickly interrupted by none other than the Dudley Boys, who were ECW Tag Team Champions at the time. And they insult the crowd. I mean, they go all out insulting people, swearing up and down. There was this fat guy. I don't know if you know who he was. He had like a tuxedo on, and he had no shirt.
Yeah, he's the stud muffin.
The stud muffin. Yeah, that guy was so fucking annoying. I was like, who the hell is this guy? He's so annoying.
Oh, yeah, he was awesome. Gertner. I actually met Gertner, man. He is cool people, man.
Yeah.
Love that guy. The stupid sayings he comes up with, man. It's fucking awesome. It's beautiful. Yeah. Actually, when TNA did their pay-per-view like 5 years ago, that ECW guy that they did one last chance for ECW guys. I can't remember the title of that pay-per-view. Gertner came out also there.
Okay.
and did a spiel, which was hysterical. It was beautiful.
Well, yeah. He came out. And they insulted the crowd, this and that, and then after that we go immediately to the kind of like the pay-per-view opening intro video, which had that old ECW music, and then we immediately go to the Dudley Boys, who they fight the Eliminators. Now the Eliminators were Perry Saturn and Cronus.
Perry Saturn and Cronus.
Yep.
I miss Perry. I love Perry Saturn.
Perry Saturn was awesome. Yeah, I like the way he wrestled in the ring and everything, and he would look at you. He had kind of like a little crooked eye. So you really wouldn't know what eye to focus on when he was looking at the camera, because he had like a little crooked eye. Yeah, but he was a great wrestler. I like the way he wrestled.
He was. I loved him in WCW, man. When he was over there, he was cool until he started coming out with that gay character where he was coming out wearing dresses and shit.
Yeah.
Got a little weird there for a minute, but
yeah.
loved the guy. I mean, he was a great competitor.
A lot of guys did that gimmick where they would wear dresses. I mean, Big Vito. Remember Big Vito? He was in WWF coming out in dresses. At one point.
My favorite coming out with dresses was man, what I can't remember his name now. He was from the WWF in the '80s. Adorable Adrian Adonis.
Oh no, but he was a great character. I used to love Adrian Adonis. I remember he had a match where it was I think it was WrestleMania 3. He fought Rowdy Piper, and this guy, the one that became the Barber, Brutus the Barber Beefcake. He came out and he cut his hair. That's when he started that gimmick of the Brutus the Barber Beefcake, was when he cut the hair of Adrian Adonis.
Yeah, I remember that match. And Adrian Adonis was just so deformed and out of shape. I mean, the guy was fat.
Yeah, he was just fat.
There wasn't a sandwich in the world that man wouldn't eat. I mean, he was just hysterically fat and out of shape looking, but man, could he keep up in the ring?
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. He was out of shape, he was fat, but I mean, he could keep up in the ring, and he was a good wrestler. So, yep.
Yeah,
So this wasn't a traditional tag team match, because this wasn't like a regular tag team where there's 2 guys in the ring and 2 guys on the outside waiting for the tag. This was kind of like a tornado tag rules, where it was all guys fighting at the same time, and it was like a big spot fest, big spot after big spot after big spot, and there was a lot of double team moves in and out of the ring, and a lot of high spots between the 2 tag teams, as I mentioned before. And I must say, Cronus was a big guy. And he was extremely athletic. At least that's what I perceived watching this match. He was extremely athletic for his size. Because at one point he hits a 450 splash on Devon. I mean, think about a guy as Cronus, as big as he was, to hit a 450 splash. That's pretty damn intense.
Yeah, that was a big boy, and he was very athletic. You didn't see stuff like that from people like that.
Yep. Now this was a long match, but the end comes after the total elimination on Bubba Ray Dudley for the pin, and of course they get the Eliminators become the new ECW Tag Team Champs. And this match took how long was this match?
This match was 6 minutes and 11 seconds. But the one who I forgot all about until I started seeing the pay-per-view again to review for this podcast today was Sign Guy Dudley. Remember him?
Sign Guy Dudley. Is he the one that came out with because there was 4 guys that came out at the beginning of the show?
Yeah, he's from the Dudley family. There's a whole bunch of them. There's like 7 or 8 of them in the Dudley family.
Yep.
And he was actually, the Sign Guy Dudley story was, he was actually a guy that used to come to all the ECW shows. And he would always have a sign. And he once put up a sign that said, "My name is Sign Guy Dudley." And then Paul Heyman seen it, and then the character just worked out. So they actually hired the guy to come in, and he became Sign Guy Dudley.
Wow, that's very interesting. Yeah, so after the match, even though the Eliminators won, this fat guy, what was his name you said?
Sign Guy Dudley.
No, not Sign Guy Dudley. The one with the one that didn't have a shirt, that was wearing a suit.
Oh, Joe Gertner.
Yeah, so he started saying that the Dudley Boys were still the tag team champs, and they were the best wrestling team in the world, and then the Eliminators just kick his ass. So that was the end of the first match in the first segment there. And after that match, we go to a video package on the Sandman, and they were showing how nuts this guy was, because this guy would just come down to the ring, he would drink beer, he would smash a beer can in his head, he would start bleeding, all this before the match even started.
Right, which kills me. I actually like the Sandman character. He would come out smoking a cigarette,
mm-hmm.
and he would come out drinking beers, yeah, and then he'd smash the cans, and then he'd cut himself open before the match started. And then, but you know what? He could keep up in the ring too for a guy that was kind of really out of shape, because all he did was drink and smoke. So But he was a good guy. I like the Sandman. He was really good. I like that character.
Yep, the Sandman. Yep. And then after that, we get a video package. No, wait, not a video package. We get Chris Candido. He was scheduled to have a match that he was going to fight against Landstorm. I guess he had torn his bicep or his tricep or something, and he was out of action, so he wasn't going to be able to fight. So he gives kind of like a little comedy promo. I thought this was going to be a serious promo when I saw it. I'm like, oh man, he's hurt. You know, it's sad because it's the first pay-per-view, this and that. But he was a complete joke. I don't know if this was his gimmick in ECW, being a joke, or he took this as a joke. But he gave kind of like a little comedy promo, and he wasn't able to fight Landstorm for this match.
You know, I feel sorry. Remember when Chris Candido died?
Well, I don't remember. I know he did die, but I don't know. I'm not sure what he died about.
He was at it was a pay-per-view, an ECW pay-per-view. I remember watching it. He had broke his ankle or something. He had a couple screws in his leg, and then he came back to the ring when the doctors told him not to stay off his foot. And he walked to the ring, he got in, and he did a couple of things with his broken foot in a cast. And then he ended up developing a blood clot. Then he died that night at the hotel room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was real sad.
Wow, that is sad. Yep. So yeah, so after that Chris Candido promo, we go to the second match, which was Landstorm versus Rob Van Dam. And of course, it was, as I mentioned before, it was supposed to be Landstorm versus Chris Candido. So Rob Van Dam, he's the substitute for Chris Candido. He has a match with Landstorm. I must say it was a pretty basic match. It was pretty good. But it started off as a basic match, I must say. But the action quickly got hot as RVD, he starts flying off the top rope. He dives all over Landstorm, and they get into it. This match, it was a pretty good match.
Did you hear about that? Rob Van Dam was well. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll end up telling the ending where Rob Van Dam was mad that he got kept out of the pay-per-view, being one of the stars or whatever.
Yeah. There was at one point they started jumping up and down, and they started throwing each other outside and diving to each other on the outside before we get to the end there. And it's funny because RVD he starts flying over to the top rope, and he misses and he falls to the floor. And it was funny because Joey Styles, he's like, yeah, this isn't Disneyland, ladies and gentlemen. We don't have any nice blue mats here. So he's taking a little knob at WWF back in the day. They had the blue mats on the front door. And anyways, at one point, the fans start calling RVD a sellout. Because, of course, he wasn't supposed to be on the pay-per-view. And I guess he had mentioned before he wasn't going to be on the pay-per-view because he wasn't going to sell out. And he ended up being in the pay-per-view anyway. So this chance, the crowd, they started calling him a sellout throughout the whole match. And I know that the action went back and forth until at the end where... who actually won this match? Wait a minute. It was Rob Van Dam, right? Yeah, Rob Van Dam pinned Landstorm after he hit a Van Daminator. He got the Van Daminator for the pin. And so then he gets on the crowd as the people are saying, you sold out, you sold out. So he gives a big promo where he says, yeah, I sold out. I wasn't supposed to be here. But today, me beating Landstorm, I'm worth more money in ECW and I'm worth more money elsewhere. And as he says that, the crowd says, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. So, like, if you want to go, get the fuck out of here. They didn't really give a shit. The ECW crowd back in 1997. Hardcore.
Yeah, they were hardcore, just like the wrestlers were.
Yep. It was an awesome crowd. So then, after that, we go to an international 6-man tag team match. And, of course, this was a good, interesting match. I thought this match went long as hell. I don't know if you have the time for this match, but it was long as hell.
16 minutes and 55 seconds.
Well, it felt like half an hour for that for that matter. It was Taka Michinoku, it was Terry Boy, and Dick Togo versus the Great Sasuke, Gran Hamada, and Gran Naniwa. Now, Gran Naniwa, he was hurt, so he was substituted by Yakasigi. He was a substitute. And all I can say about Yakazigi was he looked like a green Power Ranger. He was dressed in green. I don't know if you noticed that. He looked like a green Power Ranger without the mask.
You know what? I like watching international guys come in and perform in the American eye. But Paul Heyman and these people, the way he comes dressed to the ring, I'm like, do Japan wrestlers come out like that? I don't see Japan wrestlers dressed like that.
I don't know. I guess that's because I don't know. I couldn't say because honestly I don't know. But it was an interesting, but it was a great action match throughout the whole match. It was a lot of spots, a lot of big spots here and there. That's basically what they did. 16 minutes of big spots, and at the end there, everybody was kind of hitting like their finishers on everybody. And then I remember the finish comes as the great Sasuke. He hits the Taka Michinoku with a bridge, and I was pissed because. You can see the great Sasuke. He's hitting Taka Michinoku with everything. I mean, he hits him with his finisher. He hits him with. I think he hits him with 2 times with his finisher. Yeah, he hits him with everything, and then the match ends with a fucking bridge. I was like, "Are you gotta be shitting me, man?" After all these moves these guys take and they kick out, the match finishes with a bridge.
Yeah, it was actually a good match. It was a really good. It was entertaining.
Yeah, no, it was entertaining as all hell. But at the end, I mean. There were some points where they just could have ended it, and I guess they tried to keep going, and I was so mad because I was like, man, all these guys are kicking out all these finishes, and the match ends with a bridge. So that's my little nitpick of that match.
It came with a lead pipe or something to win that match.
Yeah. After all the kickouts, I mean that's what you would least expect. But yeah, so after that we get another video package, and this time it was on Stevie Richards, and he starts talking about his opportunity that he's gonna get tonight to fight in the 3-way, and his chance to go to fight Raven for ECW title. Of course, you guys don't know, it was there was gonna be a 3-way match between Stevie Richards, Terry Funk, and the Sandman, and the winner was gonna get a fight that same night with Raven, who was the ECW champ at the time. So we get kind of a little video promo package there with him. And then after that, we get a match that I have to say this was the worst match of the pay-per-view. It was the franchise Shane Douglas versus Pitbull #2. And Shane Douglas was the ECW television champion at the time. And all I can say, it was a horrible match. It took too long. It was boring.
20 minutes and 43 seconds of boredom.
It was boring. The fans were just sitting on their hands. They really didn't give a shit about this match. They just wanted it to end. At some points they were saying boring. It was a horrible match. That's all I can say.
If I'm not mistaken, when the television championship was created, I don't know about ECW, but when the World TV title was created in every federation or every company that I remember seeing, doesn't the television title only have a 10-minute time limit?
Yeah, it's supposed to be 10 or 15-minute time limit. Yeah, exactly.
I believe it's a 10-minute time limit. So they went 20 minutes and 43 seconds.
Yeah, maybe it was because it was on the pay-per-view. They didn't give them a time limit like that or something. But, yeah, this match was just horrible. And another thing, I guess another pet peeve I have in this match was that Shane beat the fuck out this guy. Because he was kicking his ass throughout the whole match. He hit him with everything but the kitchen sink. And then the match ends with a belly-to-belly suplex. A belly-to-belly suplex. That was the finishing pin for this match.
Hey, Pitbull was tired at the end, so that's all it took.
Yeah. But, yeah, the aftermath was interesting, though, for this match. And it was because primetime Brian Lee, he came down dressed as Ravishing Rick Rude, wearing a mask. And Brian Lee, he got down and he kissed Francine, and Shane Douglas went to hit him. But then all of a sudden, Rick Rude, he comes into the ring. He was dressed as one of those riot guys, the Philadelphia Riot Squad. He came in, he takes out the mask, and he attacks Shane Douglas. I guess there was a feud going on back in the day between Shane Douglas and Rick Rude.
Yeah, I'm assuming so. But wasn't Rick Rude already to the point where he couldn't wrestle anymore?
Well, he looked good there. He came in there and he looked good there.
I thought he was done because he had broken his back wrestling in WCW against Sting. You remember watching that match? It was overseas, and he jumped over, and when they fight overseas, they put like a stadium or a stage.
To make the ring a little higher.
Right. Then they put the ring on top of the stage. Well, Sting had dove off the ring to go through the ropes to go jump on Rick Rude, and Rick fell off the stage, banging his back, and it messed him up. I think that pretty much ended his career right there.
Wow. Well, yeah, he was here. He came in and he punched him. He looked good. He looked in shape. He looked awesome. But I don't think they ever had I'm not sure if they had a match in the future after that. But yeah, he attacked Shane Douglas.
Do you remember seeing when he was coming out with the Ravishing Rick Rude wardrobe? Did you think that was Rick Rude?
No. When he was coming down. Because when he was coming down, he had I think it was a mask on or something. And I was like, that is not Rick Rude. I mean, not even Rick Rude had that little strut he would walk down. His little strut.
The walk was there, nothing was there.
Yeah, no, but it was I totally knew that wasn't Rick Rude. So yeah, so after that we go to Taz versus not the Sandman. Taz versus what was his name? Sabu. Yeah, Taz versus Sabu. Now this was a match that was building up. This was the early version of Sting versus Hogan. This match had been built up for, I think it was like the better part of a year. Taz was always calling out Sabu, Sabu would not fight him. And so they finally met here at Barely Legal 1997 for their match. And I must say, it was a good match. Taz, I think, was dominated most of the match. At least the beginning part, he was dominating this match. And then the action spilled to the outside. Huh?
It was a good back and forth action, but Taz he did take the majority of it, but it was a good match. I like Sabu.
Yep.
Sabu is always entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah, Sabu even started bleeding in this match at one point. He got a little color in there.
Yeah.
So the end comes after Taz, he submits Sabu. So that was that was interesting. He submitted Sabu, and then he gets on the mic and he says, he tells Sabu, you know, I've been calling you out for this year and this and that, but you took me to the limit, and I really just want to, you know, show you my respect and give you my hand. So they give the hand. Now this was kind of confusing here at the end, because at some point, I'm not sure who was it that came down that attacked Taz. There was somebody that came down and attacked Taz. I'm not sure. I don't remember who it was.
Oh, hold on. I'm not sure either. It'll come to me.
For some reason, I didn't write it down here in my notes. Anyway, somebody attacked Taz, and this guy, the guy that came out with Taz, what was his name? The guy with the orange shirt.
Bill Alfonso.
Yeah, Bill Alfonso turned down Taz also. And it was Sabu, Bill Alfonso, and this guy that I can't fucking remember his name. All three of them were laying with their hands up. So Bill Alfonso, I guess Bill Alfonso was the manager of Taz back in the day, right? So this was like a big deal, him turning on Taz.
Yeah, it was.
Because the only thing I could remember about Bill Alfonso at the time was that fucking annoying whistle he would have. He would be blowing the whistle throughout the whole match, and it was just annoying as hell. So yeah, so Bill Alfonso, he turned on Taz and goes with Sabu and this other guy. I'm trying to think who the fuck. I'm gonna have to Wikipedia this shit because I didn't write it down on my notes for some reason, and I can't remember.
All right, keep going. You got that.
All right, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, so Bill Alfonso, he turns on Taz, and they go out the ring for that. So that was that there. So after that, we go to the triple threat match. It was Terry Funk, Stevie Richards, and the Sandman for this match. Now I'm gonna say this was a hell of a match. I wasn't expecting much for this triple threat match going into the pay-per-view, but I mean, this was a great match all around, solid match. All three guys delivered, and it comes at the end with Terry Funk. He takes the pinfall victory, and he beats he gets his title shot against Raven. I don't know, not too much to say about that match. I don't know if you want to add a little bit more about that match, that triple threat match.
It was an awesome match. I mean, they had their highs, they had their lows. It was a good continuing match. It lasted 19 minutes and 10 seconds, and I think Terry Funk deserved to win that match.
Yep. Now, the interesting part about this was once the match came to the end, Raven got into the ring immediately, and he started standing over Terry Funk. So the match immediately started, and this was a short match. They were fighting Terry Funk versus Raven, going all around, hardcore match, in and out of the ring and everything. And it was fun because at the end, Terry Funk beats Raven, and he becomes the new ECW champion for the first time. At their pay-per-view, it was Terry Funk beating Raven and becoming the new ECW champ. Now, for Terry Funk, he was well over 50, I think, at this point.
Rob Van Dam.
Oh, that's right. It was fucking Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam was the guy that turned on...
I just came in to be like, wait a minute, that was Rob.
Rob Van Dam, that's right. Rob Van Dam was the guy that turned with Bill Alfonso. That's right.
Right.
Exactly, because Bill Alfonso became Rob Van Dam's manager for all this time. Yep, exactly. How the fuck? I didn't write that down on my notes, and for some reason it didn't come to me, but it was Rob Van Dam. You're right. You're absolutely right about that. So yeah, the main event. The main event, then we see Terry Funk. He beats Raven. He becomes the ECW World Heavyweight Champ at that time. He was well above 50. What do you think about Terry Funk winning the title at this first pay-per-view?
I think, as stupid as this is going to sound, I think it gave ECW a lot more credibility because they had their big show. It's on pay-per-view. Now the world is watching. You know, it's not just little local Philadelphia, New York area that's watching. Now the world is watching, and to have a named guy like Terry Funk to win the world title, even though he was old, I thought was awesome.
I think it was great to see Terry Funk win the championship, but I mean, I don't know. Raven was a good champ for ECW. I mean, he was young, he was strong, but it made a good comeback story for Terry Funk. You know, he made that great the veteran coming in and beating the young lion and establishing himself.
Just like you said, Raven being young, I mean, this is just for show. You got your big show on the air. You got everybody knows who Terry Funk is. If you've been watching, you know who Terry Funk is. So having him win the world title was nice. And then, you know, the next night on TV or the following week or whatever, you could always drop it back to Raven.
Yep. So that's the way we go off the air here was, well, I must say, before, I kind of jumped ahead a whole bunch here, but at one point, Tommy Dreamer comes into commentary. He starts commentating with Joey Styles for the triple threat match. And then at one point when the match started, with the main event started, he's like, yeah, Joey, I don't want to talk no more, so just leave me alone. It was funny because Joey started talking to him, and he's like, yeah, just leave me alone. I don't want to talk no more. I just want to see the match.
Hey, man, you going to wait till we talk about the Terry Funk Raven match winner to bring that up?
Yeah, so it was very interesting. Good way to get the pay-per-view out the way. So the ECW pay-per-view. So what was your thoughts on the whole event? What do you think about it?
I think it was a good pay-per-view for them. I think it was introducing themselves to the world. I think it was all right. I think they should have went somewhere else because being their first pay-per-view, they should have went to like a bigger venue. Because I mean, the arena is good for your TV settings, but like in pay-per-views, if you're trying to do something spectacular, you should have went to like a little bigger venue. And I'm pretty confident they would have sold out anywhere they would have went.
I think they would have sold out awesome. Yeah, but it kind of gave them that ECW feel also, by the way, because I mean, during the 90s, of course, the pay-per-view events always had like the different sets and different type of venues.
Yeah, right. Because when you watched pay-per-views in the 90s, either WWF or WCW or whoever, you always had the pyro, the lights, the jumbotron, the whole spectacular. It made ECW look minor league-ish.
Yeah. Yeah, because one of the things I loved about the pay-per-views in the 90s, especially WWF, was those great sets. I remember the Over the Edge pay-per-view, I think it was in 98 when Stone Cold fought Dude Love. They had that great set where all the cars were set. It was like a big junkyard. They even had a Briscoe Brothers junkyard phone number around there. So, it was a great sets. I used to love those sets.
WCW used to do the same thing, like Halloween Havoc. So have like the big devils coming out, like the Slim Shit guy holding something, and they had these big pumpkins. Yeah, they used to do. Both companies actually were grinding great at that.
Yep. So I give this ECW pay-per-view for their first event. I give them a 7.5 out of 10.
I'll give them a solid 7.
Solid 7. Okay, good. All right, Kern, so let's go immediately to our mailbag section because we've been over here for almost an hour now. We kind of fast forward through that pay-per-view event to get to these. So now we're here in the mailbag section, and I'm gonna let you read the first emails here, Kern. What do we got?
All right. Well, we got a couple of people sending emails again. We got Oliver James once again from London, England, and he was saying that he likes our show and continued success for us, and he wanted to know what do we think about Wade Barrett.
Wade Barrett, I like Wade Barrett. Wade Barrett for me, I liked Wade Barrett ever since he came into NXT, and he created that. He won in the first season of NXT, and he became the NXT leader, or not the NXT leader, it was the Nexus. When he came into the Nexus, I thought he was great. And then they kind of, they were pushing him to the moon, and then for some reason, I guess they kind of dropped the ball on him. And then when he came with his whole Bad News Barrett gimmick, I would love it also. That whole gimmick started on the JBL and Cole show on YouTube. That's when they had these little segments on Bad News Barrett, and they were awesome. They were funny. They were hilarious. And then they brought it to TV, and they brought the damn podium. and they would have him hit the gavel on the podium and have all these segments. And at the beginning, they were atrocious, but the crowd, they started getting into it, and they started cheering him. But since he was a heel, they took that away from him again, and so he was kind of left without anything. But for me, Wade Barrett, great wrestler, great solid performer. I enjoy his work.
Well, for me, Wade Barrett, I don't get the whole bad news thing. I see the crowd seems to get it they're really into it. I like him as a performer, and I like him as when he's on the mic. He can he can talk when he's out there. But I think he needs to change his character up a little bit. I think he needs to get something different. He reminds me a little bit of Magnus from TNA.
And we all talked about Magnus last week. Good
talent, but there's just something boring that I just can't get past by.
Do you see him as the main event caliber superstar?
Yeah, in a few years, if he was to change up his gimmick a little bit, and yeah, he's got the look.
I think he needs to bulk up a little bit, because I mean he was stronger before. He was a little bit bigger, and he's got injured a couple times, so he kind of slimmed down and got very skinny. I think he needs to bulk up a little bit, because he's a little too skinny for his size and his stature. I think he needs to bulk up a little bit better than that.
All right. Who's email number 2? You want to call that one out, Cheech?
Yeah, email number 2 actually comes from our man over there in Spanish Harlem, my man Tony Culo Pesta. He sent us an email last week, and he's talking about, he wants to know which was our favorite Raw moment. And by the way, Tony Culo Pesta says that one of our next shows that we should review should be a Monday Night Raw from the Attitude Era. So we're going to write down on the list. We're going to have that coming up for you shortly, Tony. But yeah, he wants to know which was our favorite Raw moment of all time. So what was your favorite Raw moment, Kern?
Wow, that was easy. That one's so easy. It's hysterical. I remember watching Monday Night Wars, and we were watching, it was WCW and the WWF, and they were going head to head. And I remember I was watching WCW, and it was like 15 or 20 minutes before the show goes off the air. Eric Bischoff decides to say on TV, well, actually it was Tony Schiavone.
Tony Schiavone.
That do not change the channel. The other stuff is pre-recorded, and if if the only thing you're going to see if you go there, see their Cactus Jack win their version of the world title. And I remember thinking to myself, man, that would be awesome to see Cactus Jack, Mankind, what they were calling him. I said, that would be awesome to see Cactus Jack win the world title. He's never won a world title.
Especially when you knew The Rock was the champ.
Right. I mean, so I flipped the channel to the WWF, and then I don't remember what the hell happened in WCW for the rest of the night, because it was just an awesome explosion. I mean, he won the title. Stone Cold came out to help him out. I mean, it was just awesome, and that's my favorite moment, was when Mankind won the world title.
Yep, that was a great moment. That was an awesome moment, and I remember when Stone Cold came out, that roof wanted to blow off.
Yeah,
awesome,
I've been to WWF events in the Attitude Era where Stone Cold comes out, and I was one time at the Rosemont Horizon, and he came out, and that place just so loud that I got a headache like 2 minutes instantly. It just started pounding my head of how loud that place was. So I could imagine how loud it was there. And
one of the greatest moments from Raw history. I totally agree with that. My favorite Raw history of all time goes back to 2002, January 7th to be exact, 2002. And that was the day Triple H made his comeback, and it was in Madison Square Garden. And I remember he had been gone for a good 9 months off. That was the first time he had his quad torn. And that was in a Monday Night Raw. Actually, in 2001, he was in a match with Chris Jericho and Chris Benoit for the WWF Tag Team titles. He got hurt. He was gone for 9 months. He came back that January, and it was in Madison Square Garden. I remember he came back. He weighed about a good 300 pounds of muscle because he was hitting the gym very hard. And that roof wanted to just blow off on Madison Square Garden. That was one of the best moments there. And the funny part about that was when Triple H left, he was a heel. He was a hated heel. And he came back as the biggest baby face you can imagine in Madison Square Garden. So that was the best. That was my favorite Raw moment of all time, because I remember watching that live, and that was just I had goosebumps hearing that crowd.
Wow. All right. And email number 3. Do you want to say it or should I?
Yeah, you should read it. I know it was from our man Scott Peterson over there in Bolingbrook, Illinois.
Scott Peterson from Bolingbrook, Illinois. Shout out to Scott. And his question was, do you think CM Punk will ever come back to the WWE? I could answer that one already. I think not. I think CM Punk is pretty much done. I'm not saying that we won't see him in wrestling again. But I think as in the WWE, I don't think we will see him wrestling there again. What do you think, Cheech?
I don't think we'll ever see him wrestling again in WWE also. If he does come back, it'll probably be for something special. And knowing CM Punk I should correct that. I don't know CM Punk. I don't know him personally. But, knowing his, at least what we know of CM Punk, he'll probably come back and wrestle some singles match with his friend Colt Cabana on some independent show, just for the hell of it, just to have fun. Because he surely doesn't need the money. He surely doesn't need the fame or anything, because that's what he walked away from. So I don't think we'll ever see him back in the WWE ring. Interesting though, he's training to become a UFC fighter, and I wish him nothing but the best. I honestly don't think that at this stage of his game, of his life, his age, he's going to be successful in UFC. I hope he is, but I think he's going to get in there and he's probably going to be way over in his head and he's going to get his ass kicked. But
I'm looking forward to it. I would love to see CM Punk get his ass kicked.
And the thing is, this is a legitimate fight, so he's legitimately gonna get his ass kicked. It's I don't know. We'll see. But I wish him nothing but the best. But I'm looking at this as objectivity, as objectively as possible. And I just think he's in over his head, and I don't think he's gonna be able to overcome that. And I think he's gonna go in and he's gonna lose. But I will see that fight. I'll tell you that much. That pay-per-view. I'm going to order that pay-per-view to see it. But I think he's going to get his ass kicked. Yep. So we got any more emails here this week, Kern, or was that it?
Yeah, well, that's all the ones we picked that we had time for to be on the air with.
All right. So that was the emails. So there you go. ECW Barely Legal 1997, episode 6 of the Cheech and Kern Wrestling Podcast. And all we got left is to decide what's the next show we're going to review for the next week's show. And I don't know, what do you think? What do you got in mind? Should we take one of these Raws from Tony Culopesta, or should we take from another one of the list we have over here?
Well, we do have Starrcade 86 on the list. That's one that we had talked about previously on the other podcast. We can try to do that one if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, that's the 4-hour Starrcade, right?
That's a 4-hour Starrcade, but we can condense it into, an hour and a half or so.
Yeah, we'll have to go quickly through those matches. But yeah, sure, we could do that. Starrcade 1986, the Skyscraper, or the Skywalkers, what it's called, right?
That's right. And everybody listening tonight, if you watched the show also, you can comment, give us emails with the comments of the show, what you thought about it.
Yep. Now, very important for the emails and the comments to be able to make it to the recording. We need you guys to send that in before Thursdays, because the show usually goes up on Saturdays, so we need that before Thursday. So when we record on Friday, we'll be able to have all that information in there and get it in the show. So that's very important for you guys to know out there. So yeah, send your questions, comments, and your feedback for the shows at cheechandkern@gmail.com. And of course, as always, you can find us at YouTube, www.youtube.com/cheechandkern, our official YouTube channel. And yeah, so that's about it for this week's show. Kern, what else you got?
I got nothing else. It's closing time.
All right, guys. Well, take care. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
All right. Peace.